Hello everyone, welcome back to the DevOps camp. This is the next video of the Linux Systems Administration course. In this video, I will explain you about the Linux terminal in depth. When someone starts to learn Linux, the first words he will hear about are commands, console, or terminal. At first sight, they seem intimidating, especially for a complete beginner. But rest assured that, at the end of this lecture, you will know in detail what they are and what they do. Linux is an operating system, highly oriented towards commands. Even though there are many graphical interfaces available, any effective Linux administrator will prefer running commands for different administration tasks. This is what makes Linux so powerful and flexible. There are hundreds of highly efficient commands, and knowing how to use and combine them makes you a highly efficient sysadmin. Now, let's see what a terminal is. It is actually called a terminal emulator, and is a crucial part of any Linux system, because it basically allows you to access the system through a shell. It's a program that opens a window and lets you write commands. There are a bunch of terminal programs available, but the most used one is the GNOME terminal, which is the default terminal in Ubuntu and CentOS. Some other terminal emulator applications are Console, Xterm, Guaca, or Terminator. Now, let's open up a terminal. There are several ways to open up the terminal. First, click on Show Apps in the bottom left corner of the screen. Then a window will pop up. In the search bar, type Terminal. And now click on the terminal. This will open a terminal. Another way to open a terminal is by right-clicking on the desktop, and then selecting Open in Terminal. Also, you can open a terminal by using keyboard shortcuts. To open a terminal using keyboard shortcuts, press Ctrl, Alt and T key. I have started more than one terminal. Note that you can start as many as you wish, as new windows, or new tabs in the same window. Let's close all the terminal keeping only one in open. If you want to start a new terminal in the existing terminal window as a new tab, just click on the plus sign in the top left corner of the terminal window. You can open tabs as you wish. But what is a shell? Simply, a shell is a program that takes commands from the user, through the keyboard, and gives them to the operating system's kernel to get executed. It's also called the command interpreter, because it accepts commands from the user, and then checks, or interprets, them to see if they are syntactically correct. The shell gets started when the user logs in a console, or starts the terminal. In this example, I've started a few terminals, and in each terminal, the default shell has started, and is waiting for the commands. Now, I am executing a few different commands. First, I will list the contents of the directory. For that, type the command, ls. Next, I will create an empty directory. This can be done by using the command, mkdir, followed by the directory name. We can now check the directory contents again to see the newly created testdir directory. An important thing to know is that Linux is a case-sensitive operating system, which means that it's sensitive to the capitalization of letters. This is different compared to Windows, which is case-insensitive. As an example, if we enter the command ls with the L letter capital, it will say that the command not found. So it's important to keep that in mind. Let's get back to the shell. There are several shells available, but the most widely used one is called Bash. It is the default location for many Linux distributions, including Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Debian, CentOS, and Mac OS as well. If you run Windows Subsystem for Linux, or WSL on Windows 10, Bash is also the default shell. Other applications besides Bash are Bourne Shell, C Shell, and Z Shell. In this terminal, the Bash shell was started. We've discussed terminal essentials, but didn't say a word about consoles. So, what is a console? The console is a special sort of terminal that starts if no GUI was installed. So, the terminal and the console are similar. You start a terminal in a graphical interface, and the console in a text-only interface. Note that the GNOME terminal is not the only one. I will install a new terminal emulator, called Terminator, which provides several features that the default terminal application does not support. To install Terminator, run the command sudo apt update and sudo apt install Terminator. Now, Terminator terminal will be installed. Now that it's installed, we can open it using the first method. We open the GNOME terminal. Let's recap in a nutshell. The terminal is the graphical application where the default shell will start. GNOME terminal is the default terminal for most of the Linux distributions. Shell is the command interpreter, and bash is the default shell for many. Finally, a console is like a terminal but is started in a text-only environment where no GUI or graphical user interface was installed or started. That's it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe to DevOps Camp for more content. Thank you for watching.